Welcome back. I suppose it's not quite election season yet, but then again, once you enter the world of politics, it's kind of always election season, or certainly campaigning season at the very least. Next up, a conversation with a Parkite who is seeking state elective office in State Senate District 26. It's an interesting district, to say the least. We're part of it here. That being said, it's always an interesting consideration to look at what concerns us here in Park City as locals and how we view our local city government and our county government versus our state government. This and much more to discuss with our pal, Jack Rubin. How are you, man?
Terry, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being so nice to my pushy dog.
Yeah, I love her. It's great.
He's a good dog. He's a good boy, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks
welcome.
for having me on today.
Thanks for coming. I guess the first thing is tell folks a little bit about yourself and why you're putting your name into this lovely arena of mutual admiration.
Absolutely. How to make friends and influence people. Now, Terry, it's terrific. I moved here 4 years ago from the East Coast. Park City embraced me. I've had a ball here. My wife and I wish we'd been here for a lot longer than we have, but we're not leaving. We love it here.
That's great.
And I found myself in a position where my business interests gave me enough free time. And I've been sort of a would-be politico for a while. And the question that people ask you is, why? Why are you doing this?
Yes, yes.
And I think everybody's going to look themselves in the eye at some point and say, do I want to be a moaner my whole life, or do I want to be a doer?
Yeah.
And what happened here in the 26th district, and there are 29 senatorial districts in Utah, so this is one of them. Each one has about 100,000 residents. Our Senator Kevin Van Tassel, who'd been in the seat for 12 years, decided not to stand for re-election. And as you know, it's a lot easier to get elected not against an incumbent, so it's an open seat. So I looked at myself one day when I was shaving and said, you know, Jack, it's kind of now or not. And I said, now's the time. And as it's unfolded, it's worked out well. So so far, anyway.
And it's an interesting consideration. There's an openness and an opportunity because Park City is a place where people are from other places. You don't have to be here for 20 years. Talk about the decision to seek state office rather than, of course, I think of our good friend Roger Armstrong, who threw his hat in the ring for mayor last time around. And of course, there's always a great deal of attention paid to and recognition of Summit County Council especially, and the Park City Council, and of course the mayor is an important position, and our pal Andy Bierman's a great guy. But talk about the decision to go with a statewide post.
Yeah, well, part of it is what fit me and what fit what was available. I know Roger. I was with him last week. We had a great conversation for an hour and a half. I've sat down with Andy several times. Nan Worrell, you know, Steve Joyce, and I've gotten to know a number of the council members. I've got a genetic flaw in that I'm a Park City Republican.
You know, I was going to bring that up, and you made a little bit light of it. It occurs to me that a couple of things. One, of course, there is sort of a rep that Park City has that it is, and of course you can look at lots of statistics, voting statistics, and lots of other things to know that this is a pretty liberal place.
Absolutely.
Of course, defining in context by comparison, we look really liberal when we're in a very, very conservative, perhaps the most conservative state in the union. That being said, the other thing that I thought about, two things. One, you're from the East Coast, and so Republican means something maybe a little bit different in the larger context of your life, and also that to say that there aren't any Republicans around in Summit County and in Park City is missing the mark by a wide margin.
Yeah, so let's just start with the numbers. And I've run the numbers both for zip code 84060, for mailing addresses that are Park City mailing addresses, and for Summit County. And within 100 votes either way, Republicans and Democrats are surprisingly equal. In 84060, there are a few more Democrats than Republicans, but it's within 100 votes. When you use the Park City mailing address, lo and behold, there are actually more Republicans than Democrats by less than 100 votes. And when you get to Summit County, it winds up being more Republicans than Democrats by a couple hundred votes. But not to use the term statistically significant, because when you add Democrats and Republicans together, they're in each of those three cases still outweighed by the number of unaffiliated voters. So I think it's not uncommon to find, and I've found this knocking on doors, shaking hands, and meeting people throughout the district, that at this end of the district, most people are, let's just say, not enchanted with either party. And the view that, gee whiz, I'm an independent and I want to vote for the best candidate is pretty prevalent. What makes that a little difficult in this election is that the Republican Party in Utah holds what's known as closed primaries. So we're currently voting by mail, and unless you're registered as a Republican, you won't get a Republican primary ballot. So there's any number of letters to the editors and editorials and whatever, guest editorials in the Park Record saying, gee whiz, given the overwhelming majority being Republican in the district, because once you move over Daniels Pass and go into, you went to Duchesne and Daggett County, the numbers aren't like they are here in Park City where they're virtually equal. Out there, Democrats actually max out at 7% of the electorate.
Wow.
So it is overwhelmingly Republican. And I've met with Eileen Gallagher and Pat Vaughn, the two Democrats that are also running for the seat. And I take my hat off to both of them. I think they've got a very tough, whoever is the winner of that primary has a pretty tough hill to climb. And I respect them dearly for what they're doing. It's a great pulpit from which to espouse views and whatever. I think the chance of getting elected for a Republican, let's just say, are significantly better than that for a Democrat. So if you believe that, let each of your viewers make their choice there.
Well, and we can agree that there's a pretty probable conclusion that most would draw.
So what that, if you sort of take that to its logical extreme, the primary actually looks a lot more like the general election than a primary. And the ballots for that are going out. They'll be showing up in your mailboxes here in Summit County this week, maybe as early as tomorrow. They're mailed from Omaha, Nebraska on Saturday. So the first wave of those will be coming in. And they'll be counted on the 26th of July. So you may not be thinking elections, but lo and behold, if you believe this scenario, there's a very significant election that's currently underway.
It always is election season, without a doubt, especially if you're following along closely.
Yeah, so you'll get a chance to mark your ballot and mail it back if you're a Democrat or a Republican here this week, in the next couple of weeks.
Excellent. Jack, let's take a quick break. Come back. I'd love to talk a little bit about the issues that are most important to you. Of course, as we discussed, the difference between a state body and a local body.
Absolutely.
And so I think there's some interesting considerations there. And of course, the longer-term future.
Absolutely.
For you.
Sounds good.
Hey, you guys, we'll be right back after this. More with Jack Rubin, candidate for State Senate District 26. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. We're talking politics, public service, and in specific, State Senate District 26. I'm here with candidate and Parkite Jack Rubin. Welcome back.
Terry, thanks for having me.
You guys seem to be getting along well.
Mr. Buddy, I owe you an apology. I called you her, but Mr. Buddy, you're so calm. It's fabulous.
He's the ultimate pack animal. He wants he wants harmony everywhere. So you're the newest member of the pack. So he wants you to know that you're accepted and loved here at Park City Television.
Feelings mutual. Feelings mutual.
That's great. So we talked about the why side of wanting to be involved, being interested, having the opportunity, the time to be of service. What are the things that are motivating you from the policy side? Because in the end, you're going to sit in sessions and go to meetings and hash out policy.
Right.
Sexy stuff.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just rawr.
So I'm kind of naturally trained to do this. I spent a career in pension fund management. Wake up.
Right.
Reading footnotes, taking a look at balance sheets, putting together financial
I'm going to
models.
just check the disclosures real quick. We'll be back in 3 days.
So anyway, what you do when you do that is you spend a lot of time trying to figure out the consequences of your decisions before you make them. And that's always driven me crazy about legislatures. They pass stuff with no idea what its implications are. So here in Utah, last session, the legislature passed, I think it's 532 bills, and people go, can there be that many things? Well, 400 of them were technical adjustments to other bills that hadn't quite been put together in the way that was optimal. Okay, so maybe I had a transferable skill there, so I thought that might be pretty good. And I spent a little time talking with local members of the council, the mayors, county councils, and I kept hearing the same thing over and over again. I said, there may be a few dots to put together here. And what it is I was talking, I'm trying to remember who it was, with somebody on the council here said, gee whiz, we're a mountain town. We want to get a zero carbon footprint. Wouldn't it be great if we got an amendment or a modification of the building code to increase the required R value of insulation in Park City above the state standard? Because we're cold in the summer and warm, or cold in the winter and warm in the summer, and we want to cut down on fuel use. I said, well, why not? The state won't let us. I thought that was a little crazy. Then I read the paper this winter, and we all saw how the Senate passed this bill that, thank goodness, Tim Quinn rallied against and got defeated in the House, where there was a bill proposed to overrule the Park City single-use disposable bag ban. Why would anybody in the state legislature care what Park City does as long as it's not harmful? Right. Well, lo and behold, the representative had a bag manufacturer in their district. Well, to me, at the federal level, you may all be familiar with the 10th Amendment that's supposed to protect the states from the federal government. There is no analogous protection at the state level. And we're not a home rule state, so the counties and the towns actually exist at the leisure or the pleasure of the state. So if you combine that with the idea that I have, and I found this through talking with any number of local government officials, that local issues, lo and behold, are best understood locally. The consequences are felt locally. The solutions are implemented locally, and lo and behold, we all pay our taxes locally. So why should we have one-size-fits-all solutions out of Salt Lake? Heber City is not St. George. Vernal isn't Bountiful. As I like to say, Park City's in a league of its own. Look, let's let the local, local elected officials to do the work they're elected to do. Why don't we re-empower them? And I think what that takes is somebody going to Salt Lake and saying, we'll pass on this one, guys. Enough. Let's go figure out something. We got plenty of state issues. Let's focus on them and leave the local stuff to the locals. And what I found, knocking doors, talking to officials, is lo and behold, this works in Park City, it works in Heber City, it works in Roosevelt, it works in Duchesne, it works in Vernal, it works with Democrats, it works with Republicans. I was like, there must be something to this, right? So that would sort of be my first and foremost thing. I mean, Park City is the face of Utah to the globe, as best I can tell. More people come here than anywhere else in the state. And we're kind of hamstrung with some stuff that's mandated by the state. That, to my mind, that's more than just a little bit crazy. It's a little bit short-sighted. So that's my single biggest policy issue that I'd like to take throughout. That's not to say that there aren't issues that apply to the whole district. And when you have the Uinta Basin, that's 65% oil extraction. Their economy is really oil-based. And then you come here, and we've got Wasatch, which is actually more people leave Wasatch every day to go elsewhere to work and then come back. And then we've experienced an explosive growth, fastest growing county in the country. You got Summit County, with the recreation industry and all the stuff we have here. What in the world might they have in common other than that? And one of the huge issues is transportation. Not so much here in Park City. We've got our own transportation issues and transit issues, but the rest of the district with US 40 that runs through it, it doesn't take long sitting over at Dairy Queen in Heber City. Every 3 minutes, a 129,000-pound tandem tank truck goes rolling through on its way to the refineries. Can we get a rail spur put in to get oil, another avenue for oil out? Is there a way to lessen the dependence of economic dependence of the whole district on US 40? We're really tied together by 40.
It's true.
That's something that really needs some work. And more, there's been, Senator Van Tassel's done great work. There's passing lanes on the uphill side and whatever. So some stuff has been done, but there's a lot more that can be done. I'd love to see that.
Indeed. And while on one hand there is the receptiveness that you, as you pointed out, statistically that you surely get being a Republican in an area that especially as we talk about the entire district and not just Park City and not just sort of the media interpretation of what the political philosophy is here. That being said, you're also a little bit of a couple of different bags together in that you're a Republican, but you're from outside, and I'm going to guess that a lot of your philosophies and ideals are probably more tied closely to traditional definitions of republicanism than maybe what is kind of in vogue right now. What's the response been to you as you've gone, especially outside of Park City in this area, where we're all from somewhere else?
Yep.
What's the reception been when people say, how long have you been here?
Yeah, you know, I got to tell you, I'm shocked. It's been great.
That's great.
It's been great. The idea of being Republican, what does it mean? You know, you get 50 people in a room, might get 50 different answers. What I would say is, you know, economically, I'm a balanced budget, smaller government guy. And that's, Utah has been a very fiscally responsible state. And I'm also a liberty-leaning guy.
Yes.
You know, my thing is that combining with small government, you know, I'm not a, you know, I hate to use the term, but a Bloomberg Republican. I don't care what size soda you get. And frankly, I don't think the government should care what size soda you get. So, you know, from that perspective, when you talk to people about that, that resonates far more across lines than, you know, tenure in the state or whatever. And I think taking a thoughtful approach to these issues, you know, is actually, people kind of like that. I'm not a strict doctrinaire by any stretch.
Sure.
And, you know, I like to say, you know, I'm old enough to remember when Khrushchev pounded his shoe at the UN. That makes great headlines, but it's really bad for negotiating. You don't get much done that way.
Absolutely.
And, you know, at the end of the day, we got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Let's be reasonable about it.
No question. It's great to meet you. Thanks
Terry,
for coming
thank
in
you.
to chat. Tell folks all the social media stuff. Where are folks gathering digitally behind your candidacy?
Yeah, so you probably have seen these signs that just simply say Jack. It's red with a white background.
Great branding, by the way.
Thank you
That'll
very
have
much,
to be a
Terry.
conversation for another visit.
Okay.
But you've done a great job.
But you can pull me up at www.utahjack.com.
Utah Jack.
Utah
I
Jack,
like
and
it.
that's got all the links to all the other stuff, Facebook and Twitter and all the rest. So, and let me give you my phone number, 435-602-3255. I've got it turned off now because we're on TV, but it rings all day, all night. Nothing would make me happier than for you to give me a call and we can have a conversation.
602-3255. 602
You're very good.
3255.
Yes, operators are standing by.
That's right. Jack, pleasure to meet you.
Terry,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming in. I look forward to seeing you around town. It's one of the lovely things about getting to host this show is I make new friends here in the studio and then I see folks around. Best wishes for a great campaign and come back and see us again.
Great. Thank you, Terry.
All right, Jack Rubin. He's got an R next to his name. He is running for State Senate District 26 here in the greater Park City, Summit, and Wasatch County areas. Find out more about him, utahjack.com. We'll be right back with more after this. Please do stay tuned.